Entrepreneurs on born that brew. You are now listening to the Entrepreneurial Podcast with your host, Adam McChesney. Let's grow.
Welcome to the Entrepreneurial Podcast. I am your host, Adam McChesney, and I want to thank you for being here today. We are live from Half Coast Studios here in St. Louis, Missouri. Thank you, as always, to Half Coast for this amazing setup and sponsoring the show. If you are looking to start your podcast or take your current one to the next level, then you definitely need to come check these guys out. Contact them today for a free consultation. If you're listening, please be sure to subscribe to the show and leave us a 5-star review on Apple and Spotify. We would love for you to share this social media on, share this on social media by tagging me, and this way we can get this incredible content out to more people. Today, I'm joined by a good friend and fellow Hite franchisee. He and I actually first connected a little over 2 years ago, and at the time we were quote-unquote competitors, I guess you can say. He thought he was way better than me, and I'd actually reached out to him for some help, but because we were in the competitive space and I was so new to marketing, I didn't know anything, and he actually rejected me. A year later, he and I connected again, laughing about the situation, and then shortly after, he followed my footsteps and became a Hite franchise. My guest today is Brad Akers. He is the owner-partner of Hite Digital Houston and owner of Brad Grows Businesses. Brad, welcome to the show.
What is up? There's more to the story, but
let's dive in. Let's dive in there. What's more to the story there?
You wanted me to help fulfill on some product, and I already was using someone else to help fulfill on some product, so it would have just been this mess. And you got to remember also, JC and I were friends and talking before I became a franchise. And when he told me Adam was going to be a franchisee, I said, in 6 months, this guy's going to be the biggest guy you have. And sure enough, I was right. So
you were.
I'm trying to make me sound like a little jerk, but I've been a fan and a supporter for a long time.
I know. And I appreciate the support, and I'm a fan and supporter of you as well. I would just, it would have been low-hanging fruit for me not to have mentioned that in the beginning, but man, I'm excited to have you on the podcast today, and really excited to get to know you a little bit better just from some of your background stuff that I'm sure I probably don't even know. I'm excited for you to pour into the audience. So for those of you who know how we interact with our guests, we like to have them on and talk about their entrepreneurial journey. Got some feedback recently of, hey, you should start a little bit closer to where things are at right now, which is where we'll start. And then we'll kind of dive into our 5-step entrepreneurial process. So Brad, if you want to give the audience kind of a little bit of a background on where you're at today with your business, all the things you got going on, and then we can work back from there.
Yeah, absolutely. So owner of Hite Digital Houston, been a franchisee since July of 2021. So creeping up on a year now. Been amazing. We've been able to have a lot of growth, been able to grow in profitability, which is fantastic. And I'm sure we'll get into some of the lessons I've learned between top line and how much you're actually taking home. Work mostly with roofing contractors. I come from the roofing world, so work mostly with roofing contractors. I don't know why, but I love those dudes. They also drive me crazy, but I love y'all. And yeah, so that's where we're at.
That's awesome. And then also, I like what you're doing with the Brad Grows Businesses things. Obviously, we also have our own personal brands. I have this podcast, YouTube channel, and then I have my own personal brand stuff I'm doing there. So talk to people about, kind of how that came about as well, powered obviously by everything that you're doing with Hite Digital.
Yeah, absolutely. So funny enough, I don't know how many people on this podcast know who Billie Jean is marketing, but I wanted to create like a personal brand and really escalate that, but also create a personal brand around like what we're doing rather than just around me. So I like just one random night was binging Billie Jean is marketing videos, which is not a common thing for me to do. It's like, that might be the only time I've ever done it, but for some reason, I couldn't sleep that night, and just like my mind was racing, just kind of thinking about like, what do I want to do? And I realized that I'm not obsessed with PPC, Google ads. I'm not obsessed with SEO. I'm not obsessed with Facebook ads. I'm not obsessed with anything like that. I'm obsessed with like just facilitating growth. So I like to think and say to my clients and potential clients that we really approach things as a strategist, and we look at the bigger picture of just like their marketing and sales process as a whole. And that's kind of where Brad Crow's businesses came into play, because it's a lot more than just generating some leads for me.
Yeah, no, that's huge and very powerful, especially in a world full of digital marketers that are just so focused on, hey, how can I acquire clients and how can I bring people in to start doing PPC or start doing SEO, and not really taking a look at the bigger picture of where is this business at, and is what I'm offering today really what they need? Or I know you're a very resourceful person. You have a lot of connections. A lot of times I see you talking about other people's services because that's probably what they need right now, or you're bringing in other people's services to kind of help complement everything that you do at Hite Digital, which I think that speaks more volume and has probably helped you grow more than just trying to bring on that next client to, hit the next revenue goal and things like that.
Yeah. One of the worst things is bring on the wrong client. And that doesn't necessarily mean that they are a bad person. It doesn't mean that they're not great in their own, but if there's not like a good connection, and if there's not like a clear, I can provide this that will help you do this, then it's not good for anybody. And unfortunately and fortunately, I've learned that lesson a couple times. So really, it's just important to me to make sure to be of service first, and just connect people with, whether it's with my team and what we do, or connect people with other people that might be able to help them out.
Yeah, no, serving people first and foremost is massive. It pays off dividends, and should definitely be at the forefront of every entrepreneur's focus. So the first thing that we'll hop into here within the 5-step process is the history. So behind every great beer, there's a reason behind why it's getting brewed. So obviously we know where you're at today with Hite Digital Houston and Brad Grows businesses, but talk to us about where everything has led up until this point, a little bit of background on, where you're at, where you came from, all those good things.
Sure. I don't want to get stuck on this part for too long, but growing up, never made very good grades, kind of was one of those classic schools not for me people. Also just was a little shithead. Sorry if I'm not supposed to say that. In high school and college, got arrested, kicked out of my dorm, went home for a semester for just being an idiot. And that's kind of how I looked at myself. It's just like, well, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know how I'm going to be successful. I don't seem to be like the other people that seem to have a more clear path to success, at least as I understood it then. So I wasn't the most happy person inwardly, though outwardly I was a lot of fun. So that was pretty dark for me. And in some of the craziness, there's two things that had a huge impact. One of them was I started seeing a psychologist in college, which was definitely like a little faux pas, not normal, at least among my circle. So I was a little embarrassed about it, but it was life-changing. I think it really helped me understand kind of the way the world works and the way I work, more importantly, in that situation. And then I also, I got an internship for a custom home builder. And that internship just like completely, it was like one of the first things that I felt like I was really good at. And it was like really exciting. I mean, I was good at like sports, but one of the first things that I believed that I could like go be successful at. And like, I got incredible feedback. I was dealing with people. So I was like kind of a superintendent assistant for the summer, and then ended up working there in Christmas breaks and other summers and stuff as well. Just like whenever they needed people, I was around. And it was just really cool because we were working with people building multiple $1 million homes, and I had a sense of importance there. So it was really cool being a part of that. And that got me into the construction industry, which once I graduated college, that experience and that kind of like push in the direction of the construction industry got me into roofing distribution. So I worked for SRS Distribution, Southern Shingles for anyone here in Texas, and did pretty well there. Was selling close to $6 million a year in roofing material. And there weren't many people my age doing that, which was nice. And I then eventually went and started my marketing company, which later became part of Hite.
That's awesome, man. And I think a couple things for listeners to kind of keep an eye out for, or an ear out for in this instance, of what he talked about was the seeking out help, or the seeking out the psychologist to be able to understand himself. And he started to obviously get a little bit of an idea of who he was and maybe some things that he was working through. But I think often as entrepreneurs, we feel like we can't go ask for help, or if we do go ask for help, that it is frowned upon, when in reality, it couldn't be further from the truth. And then the other aspect of that is, getting involved and taking chances, like he obviously took with being in that company of the custom home building and getting his foot in the door and feeling like he was important and things like that. But I'm really interested.
I had no idea what I was doing, by the way. I'm not a handy person. Like, my wife laughs at me because I've always like been in the construction industry kind of, but she's the one who like knows how to find the studs and stuff.
Oh yeah.
It's a little embarrassing, but she like gives me crap for it all the time. It's like, it's not really my strong suit, but I'm pretty good with people. So
you and me both. My wife does literally everything around the house. If it has anything to do with the handy, like, that is not me. So I'm right there with you. I don't know if I've actually ever asked you this, but so what was one of the main reasons why you wanted to leave that sales job and create your own marketing agency? What did that process look like?
Great question. So I am big on mindset in general. I'm kind of like, people make fun of me because they call me a mystic sometimes even. But I always think about that kind of stuff. And at the time I was really I got myself so worked up. I was telling myself stories of what was really happening when there's truth to it, but I was kind of creating a self-fulfilling prophecy. One of my best friends, who was my direct boss, moved to another market. And after that, another, like my boss's boss's boss, didn't like my old boss and didn't like me. So though I was selling a lot, I got a lot of crap from this guy and I let it really get to me. So I just started binging entrepreneurial podcasts and stuff like that, because frankly, the way he treated me, which probably looking back on it, it's like, well, you could have worked harder, Brad. But the way like he managed me was just not how I received management well, which is definitely a personal problem as well. I look back on it and I had a lot more animosity for him than I probably should, but it pushed me to realize like, I don't ever want to have a boss again. So that was a big part of it. And then also in that, like, started listening to Gary Vee podcasts and all that, started getting Ty Lopez ads all the time. So I ended up buying a course on social media advertising and ended up doing that for some of my clients as a value add, for free. just like, hey, I'll help you set up some Facebook ads. My roofing clients, by the way. And ended up doing pretty well for them and realized, wow, I've already established that I don't want to work for anyone long-term. I want to be my own boss. And this sounds pretty nice. So at the same time of partnering with a friend in his roofing company, I started this marketing company. And then I actually ended up leaving the roofing company because the marketing company was getting so busy, and I was a 50% partner for sweat equity. And I had to realize and tell him, hey, this marketing agency is getting bigger faster than I expected to, and I cannot realistically give you 50% of I can't earn that 50% sweat equity like we talked about. So I'm just going to go ahead and walk away. But I helped him do his marketing still, and he's doing pretty well. So
yeah, everything comes full circle. No, that's a really cool story, and like I said, I think that was the first time I'd ever heard of it. So I'm excited to hear about that, and I'm sure it will kind of help guide the audience of if you are in a position, because I do know that there are a couple people that have reached out to me that are sales reps that are looking to eventually make the leap into entrepreneurship. And being a sales rep myself and making that leap, everyone's got a different story. So it's always good to get a different perspective on that. One of the next things that we'll take a look at here as part of the entrepreneur process is the ingredients. So great beers are made from great ingredients. What are 3 things that have made you successful in your entrepreneurial journey thus far?
I think empathy in general. I know that's probably kind of a generic response, but I do think that I have a good skill of putting myself into other shoes. And because of that, I like to think I practice the old golden rule pretty well of do unto others as you would like to be done unto yourself. So that's a big piece of it is I do think I'm able to understand people relatively quickly and connect with people pretty well. God in my relationship with God is at the forefront of everything I do. I'm not necessarily, I'm pretty rough around the edges some days, but overall, it guides most of my decisions, and it helps really give me a clear path. Anytime I really deep down, I pretty much know what I should do if I just try to still my mind a little bit. And then the third one would be the amazing people around me. Really, ever since I learned how impactful talking to that psychologist was, which is definitely I know it's not a normal thing to talk about necessarily, but it really was so positive and helped me find so much more confidence, helped me understand things about myself that I didn't understand. And his name's Dr. Gall. That guy, I owe a lot to him. I really potentially owe my life to him. So I was in a dark place when I ended up going seeing him, and he really, really just gave me so much clarity, and through understanding how much just another person can help when you seek that help and are really honest with yourself about what you need help with. I've been so open to it. And it's given me the ability to have a lot of great friends, a lot of great mentors, and even just with my wife, for instance, who would be the fourth if I had to have a fourth, but not in that order necessarily. But even her, she's an entrepreneur as well. And she gives me so much clarity and guidance. And I've learned to be humble and listen. So yeah.
No, those are 3 great things. I mean, especially the people aspect. I think it's such a underutilized part of entrepreneurship. Talking about asking for help, talking about surrounding yourselves with the right people. You don't have to go through this entrepreneurial journey alone. even
It's
though
lonely when you try.
it's
lonely either way, but
yeah, exactly. There are people, there's nothing, unless you're inventing some crazy product that's never been invented before. There is nothing that you are going through right now. And even then, there's likely someone out there that's gone through something similar. But there's nothing that you're going through right now that someone else that you could reach out to hasn't already gone through and overcame. And that was one of the biggest learning lessons for me. And then it's really over the last year kind of only intensified to be able to really understand that I wasn't utilizing resources. I wasn't utilizing people. And that's couldn't be a bigger hindrance to myself as an entrepreneur when I don't do that. So really glad that you talked on that. The next part of the brewing process is just the entrepreneur process is talking about the process as a whole. So obviously great beer doesn't happen overnight. Talk through some of the ups and downs of your entrepreneurial journey since starting your marketing agency.
Oh yeah. A big one, a quick bullet point one is not learning when to stop and rest. Getting out of the employee mindset's kind of difficult. So for me, Adam works harder than like anyone I know. So it doesn't even make sense where he gets this. But for me, I needed to start realizing that there was value in spending time just thinking and like being quiet and resetting in order to like really like serve at the highest level. And that's just like realizing that I'm not on the clock, but that I'm always working, but also being able to step away and realize that's ROI positive for my business on the weekends and all that. A huge one. The biggest lesson I ever had to learn in entrepreneurship is profitability versus top line revenue. That's top line revenue matters almost none unless you're trying to sell, or unless you're doing it only for like a 5-year plan. But even then, most people I found get caught in building their business in a way where it's going to be really hard to ever have those super profitable months. I got lucky to get out of some not so profitable months, and I've really switched things around to where we're able to keep a lot of money in the business. And that's something that came with just pure discipline. Most of us entrepreneurs, I think it's very rare to find an entrepreneur that's just like naturally this like numbers person that like loves to hang out in Excel and look at really boring stuff. Maybe we like to talk about projections. But aside from that, looking at where we are and then looking at what we did in the last like 3 or 4 months and trying to make decisions based on that is not fun for most of us. And it surely wasn't for me. But in order to get my business right, because top line, it was looking good. Internally, it was a little crazy. I had to really, really step it up and run my P&L every day, update QuickBooks every day, and really understand that you can't avoid that stuff, because if you avoid it in one way, it's just going to come back in another way. And I'm eternally grateful for seeing that and being able to commit to that discipline, because it's changed my life, my family's life, my employees' life, just my general well-being. Much happier person now that I got money in the bank. Don't let anyone tell you that money doesn't buy happiness. I'm not saying that it does buy happiness, but it surely helps. So the job of the business is to be profitable, and you need to really make sure that you're a good steward of the money that's coming in, and make sure that your business is operating as a business is supposed to operate.
No, that's powerful, because we were having conversations the other day, is like, I'm going through some of those things right now. I'm trying to get better at the numbers aspect. And I think, as you mentioned, it's so easy for us to just shy away from it, to be like, hey, I want to just focus on sales. I want to go off to the next thing, and that's all I want to worry about. So to hear that you have evolved with that skill set, that you're getting better each and every single day, and it's really transformed your life and your business, I think should shed some light to entrepreneurs that, yes, you do have to take this seriously. It's not something that you can go hide away and shy away from. So really appreciate the insights about the ups and the downs of the journey. The next and the fourth step of the entrepreneur process is the fermentation and conditioning. So what is one of the biggest lessons that you have learned that you would share with someone that's an entrepreneur and helping them save years worth of mistakes? It might be around the financial aspect again, because that's a big, a big lesson, but if there's anything else that you could shed some light on, that'd be great.
Yeah. I mean, this is perfect for me to jump into my love of mindset for entrepreneurs, but I think it's really just about like being positive. I know that sounds so funny, and simple, and it is, but it really, like, your energy as a business owner is going to affect so much more than you could see on the surface. So putting in a lot of effort to just make sure that you're showing up as your best self and positive and excited, and maintain your vision for the future, and understand that with the right attitude, with the right mindset and all of that, that's going to help you do the daily actions consistently. That's going to create the longest term success. I think a lot of the time we get in a bad mood because we have a goal that we're not at. And I've been there, but once I learned to just be happy with where I am, once again, having some cash in the bank helps. But once I've learned to just be happy with where I am, and content with where I am, and as our good old mindset coach Jose Bolaño said, try to be presence. It really, really has made an impact on me. So just trying to find a way to see the positive and be happy and be in a good mood, and wake up positive, go to bed positive, try to limit the amount of time that any negativity lasts. And it really allows you to be so much more productive. It's night and day.
No, it's great. The positivity aspect and the mindset aspect are things that as entrepreneurs, it's very easy for us to weave in and out of those things, because we get thrown crap all day long. And to be positive, I think it goes in so many different directions. Like, I have to, as I bring on more employees, I have to understand that I have to be positive at all times in front of them, regardless of how I feel. And that has been one of the hardest things too, because like there's times where you are just so freaking pissed off that you can't even understand why something has happened, but you have
just this morning I sent a message in my group message with my team, and I immediately was like, that was kind of harsh, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
like, and I'm not perfect at it, but also like, dude, it's like a huge challenge. It's not easy.
Yeah, absolutely. So the last step of the entrepreneur process that we like to talk about is distribution. So within beer, that's obviously taking the beer to the market and selling it. So what is next for Brad?
Well, Adam, I think you're part of what's next in a few ways. Adam and I have some cool projects that we're working on. That's something I'm really excited about. It's a group that we're trying to build, a community that we're planning on building. So it's going to be very fun. And I think we're going to be able to really pour into them and create a huge impact. There's talks of using our marketing prowess to build other businesses that we can eventually sell. Adam and I have played with the idea for the last 6 months of building a business on the back of marketing and good operations and good finances, and documenting the whole thing and then selling it as quickly as we can. Or not, honestly. if we can get it, I don't know if I'd want to sell it if it's good cash flow, but in general, what's I'm pretty open to what's happening and what the future looks like. I'm never planning on stopping growing my agency. I think that having a marketing agency and making sure it's always fed and growing is going to help any venture that I start at any time. But over time, I'd like to really get more into like the working directly with people. So that's something that that's part of why I'm very excited. It's going to be called Balanced Scalability. I'm sure you'll hear more about it. Maybe JC, Adam, and I can all be on one of these podcasts here in the future. But we're just any opportunity to affect more people. And as for me, I'm just impact. I want to just see how far this positivity can take me. I want to be organized, be disciplined, try to get better and better every day, and find success by facilitating success.
I love it, man. Yeah, there's a lot of exciting things to come down the pipeline. Excited for some things that we have that we're working on here in the future. But man, really appreciate you coming on here today. Any last pieces of advice for the audience that you'd like to leave with them?
Make sure to give Adam a good review and subscribe to his podcast, and just do everything you can to be positive. And I know that sounds so cliche and annoying and whatever, but like it has massive returns in your business and your relationships and all of that. And it is a choice. So
that it is, and it definitely makes a difference. Well, Brad, thanks for coming on, man. Can you tell people where to find you? We'll put this in the show notes, social links, things like that, where you'd like to send people.
Sure. Best place is find me on Facebook, Brad Akers, Akers. If you are a roofing contractor, I have a Facebook group called Roofing Brand Builders that you will just be able to find. It has about 2,000 members. And I'd love to have you in there too. We do good weekly trainings.
Yeah, those things are awesome, man. Well, appreciate you coming on here, Brad. Thanks for taking the time today, man.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
And to our guest, I want to thank you again for tuning into the podcast. Please be sure to subscribe, download, and share our content. Leaving a 5-star review goes a long way. And thank you again to Half Coast Studios. If you're here in St. Louis and looking to start your podcast or grow your current one, then you seriously need to come check out what they have going on here. See you all next week. And remember, entrepreneurs aren't born, they are brewed.
I'm an entrepreneur. Entrepreneurs aren't born, they're brewed. Thank you for listening to Entrepreneurial Podcast with your host, Adam McChesney.